suggesting that someone be the bigger person can be harmful. First of all, I would like to apologize for the appearance of this microphone. I know it's obnoxious. I am working on trying to have a better listening experience for you, and I noticed in my other videos it can be difficult to hear me, so this is all I have right now, but I will be investing in a better microphone that's not so obnoxious, but hopefully this video sounds better. Back on topic. When you constantly take the high road, it can hinder the other person's opportunity for growth, reflection, and development. Some people need to experience the natural consequences of their behavior, which could be losing friends, losing family members, being ostracized from groups and communities, and facing real relational fallout. To truly examine their behaviors and make changes. Always stepping in to be the bigger person can reinforce toxic behaviors. What it does is it shields the other person from personal accountability. It's not actually always kind to be the bigger person. It can be considered enabling. And being an enabler is not kind. Being an enabler is selfish. People who enable other people are doing it for their own personal, they're doing it to maintain the illusion of harmony. They want to avoid discomfort, and they want to put up a front or the appearance of the good one. True kindness means sometimes stepping back and allowing for people to have the time and space and consequences to facilitate their own self-reflection and personal accountability. Continuously shielding someone from this process by being the bigger person or taking the high road is not kindness. You're hindering that other person's growth. I also want to stop right here and make it clear that when I'm referring to how being the bigger person can be problematic, I'm talking about in situations where you are being harmed by someone is exhibiting abusive, maladaptive, harmful behaviors that are causing pain and harm to you. I'm not talking about situations where there's just normal relational misunderstanding and there's that awkwardness. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about someone who is habitually using negative, maladaptive behaviors to manipulate, control, and abuse you and other people. Sometimes commentary on religious teachings of forgiveness overlook very critical steps. Forgiveness and kindness is the ultimate goal. And I'm not saying that we should not aim to be forgiving, kind, and compassionate. What I'm saying is there are some steps that need to happen before that. In order to be truly kind and compassionate, you must first have self-respect. Know who you are. Know what your boundaries are. Understand what you can and cannot accept. Understand how to have boundaries, how to exercise healthy boundaries. These things are critical to becoming someone who can truly be genuinely and authentically kind and compassionate and forgiving. Otherwise, we're just throwing these words around and expecting this type of behavior and actions from people, and it's not real because there's no way you can be a truly authentic, compassionate, kind person when you don't have self-respect, when you don't have personal boundaries, when you are not aware of harmful behaviors, then the compassion isn't truly there. That's called being a doormat. That's not called compassion. That's called enabling. That's not compassion. It's not real. Skipping over things like self-respect, recognizing harm, and healthy boundaries leads to self-abandonment, which ultimately causes even more harm, not only to yourself, but to those around you. Being the bigger person often places the emotional labor on the wrong person. It assumes that the person who was harmed is responsible for making things right. It unfairly shifts the burden onto the person who is already hurt while allowing the other person to escape accountability. I want to make another note because I've experienced this in therapy and in coaching, where without trying to understand the pain that you're experiencing and what you're processing, you're given advice or suggestion on how to respond to people with negative behaviors, which is in a way teaching them how to interact with you. And that is not okay. If you are seeking professional help, that person should be seeking to understand and validate your experience before offering problem solving. Although getting to the place where you know how to interact with people, to teach them how to interact with you could be a goal, it's not necessarily everyone's solution. And I'll say for myself, I am not at a place where I want to teach people how to be respectful and interact with me. I've been through way too much, and I've experienced way too many boundary violations, harm, and abuse to be in a place where I am now having to maintain relationships by constantly teaching people how not to be toxic and how not to communicate in toxic ways. I just wanted to give that note because if you've experienced that while seeking professional help, please do not internalize that as you doing something wrong. Sometimes the person who is giving you that professional help does not have the skills to navigate the type of trauma that you've experienced and the type of unhealthy relationship dynamics that you're currently walking through. I'm not saying that that person is not a good therapist, but sometimes because we're all human, it's helpful to understand other people's limitations, even when it's someone's limitation in their professional role. Telling someone to be the bigger person can be used as a manipulation tactic to silence people. It's often weaponized to keep people quiet and to tolerate mistreatment. This term is often used by toxic family members, abusers, or even well-meaning people who do not know how to or do not want to deal with real conflict or discomfort. It can create a cycle of harm. Telling someone or telling yourself to be the bigger person can condition you to accept mistreatment among multiple relationships. Over time, this erodes self-worth, leading to exhaustion, depression, and resentment. It doesn't teach conflict resolution, it teaches conflict avoidance. Instead of fostering real healing and meaningful conversations, it encourages people to ignore and suppress their problems. Healthy relationships require boundaries, tough conversations, direct communication, and accountability, not just forced kindness. Sometimes people mistake niceness for healing. Just because someone acts kind doesn't mean that they've healed from what happened. In reality, they're suppressing pain that festers over time. True kindness includes honesty, boundaries, and the ability to say, I won't allow you to treat me this way. Remember that being kind starts with being kind to yourself. If you can't be kind to yourself, you can't be kind to anyone else. Kindness requires self-respect. Kindness requires you to have the ability to protect yourself from harmful environments and harmful people, anything that's causing harm to you. Kindness is not being the bigger person. That's not kind. That's enabling. and it's harmful. If you don't truly understand what someone has been through, and you don't truly understand how someone's processing their emotions and the impact that someone else's behavior has had on them, then don't tell them to be the bigger person. Don't jump to a solution when you don't really understand the problem. Stop telling people that it's their responsibility to teach people how to interact with them in a healthy way. People need to learn how to be accountable for how they are showing up in other people's lives. And sometimes that accountability doesn't happen until they've experienced real consequences. Comforting the person who's caused harm, the person who's manipulated, and the person who's abusing other people is reinforcing behaviors that are going to continue to cause harm to other people and cause harm to you. And when you do this, you're telling yourself that you do not deserve to be treated with kindness yourself. And you do. Hopefully this video has given you some comfort as to why that advice hasn't ever really felt right to you. And now you can be at peace with understanding that being the bigger person doesn't always fit in every situation. And if it's not fitting in yours, then it's okay. I hope everyone has a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.